Namaskaram. This is Priya from Journey to Pragnya, and I wish you a very happy Chaitra Navaratri. This is the second edition of Date Nights with Durga, and it is my pleasure to take you on a 9 days deep dive with each Devi of that day. Nav Durgas is what they're called. You might already be familiar with Goddess Durga. Durga is also known as the goddess of war. And it's very interesting to note that there are not just one set of celebrations 9 days per year for this goddess, but four of them. Two of them are Gupt, which means secret, and I don't know how it's a secret if it's available on Google, but it also has a season that it also has a time when it's celebrated at the change of the seasons from winter to spring, which is typically right after the spring solstice. And this is the season where we are right now. The Durga Puja or Navratri is celebrated typically right after the new moon. And the significance of that is starting from a clean slate. And actually watch the progression of the moon across the 9 days and also know exactly which day belongs to which deity. It's helpful in pointing that out as well. So here we are, right after the new moon and a full moon, a full, total solar eclipse, sorry, in the sign of Aries. And the season that we are in as well is that of Aries, which is all about taking bold leadership, all about stepping into our pioneering selves, all about taking bold action, being fearless, going head on. Now, I found it very interesting to explore what is the correlation between Durga as the goddess of war and all the other various roles that she embodies and that of leadership. Well, the most fiercest aspect about Durga is the fact that being a feminine Shakti or being a feminine power, she holds all these tools which are so called masculine, or she also stands firm and tall and undefeatable in a very masculine terrain, which is that of war, of battle, or be it the very rough terrain of the high mountain tops, or doing very harsh penance that she does in the form of Devi Brahmacharini. And it's very interesting to note that the first Devi is Devi Shailaputri, and Shailaputri is the daughter of the mountains. And the first day we also pay homage to Mother Nature. Now, whether we want to be leaders as women or men, or whether we want to bring our divine masculine to the surface, or think that we are leaders itself in our divine feminine, the first thing and the starting point always is that of nature, is always the land or the mother we came from, and we pay homage to her as we start this journey. So it's very poignant, of course, that while we're exploring leadership, we're first paying our respect to Mother Nature, who shows us her various forms and who very much takes her own form of leadership, her own form of courage, her own form of tolerance, which is something we do need in our leaders, and her own form of patience. But hey, let me remind us again that when we're talking about leadership, it's not just what we see in the workplace. It's not just what we have in our job titles. It's very much in the roles that we play in our own lives and how we don those roles. Do we don them from a very from a space where we're feeling small, or do we own up every action that we take? Do we have a tendency to blame external circumstances, or do we take responsibility and accountability for our actions? There's so many more examples of what leadership, or more illustrations rather, of what leadership looks like in your own life. But it is also choosing how you are responding to every single circumstances that arises in your life. It might even be as simple as choosing to keep away your phone because you're concentrating on this recording, or not multitasking because you're concentrating on this podcast or recording, or whatever form this is going to take. So, though that sounds small, every single step that sort of snowballs into the other and determines the quality of your day ends up determining the quality of your month, oh sorry, of your week, of your month, and your year, and you can see how that builds on. So when we're starting off in this new astrological year in the sign of Aries, it is reminding us about taking charge of what we perceive ourselves to be, exploring what we think our limiting beliefs are, and noticing how much control do we have in that narrative. If you measure the amount of control that you have in your own life's narrative, not to be at an amount that you would like to see in a leader, well, it's time to step up. And what I feel is that the nine forms of Durga, because they embody all the various roles, that of a young girl, then to a teenager, to a newly married woman, to a mother, to somebody who goes back to the workforce or the battlefield, um, and then after that, giving you your maiden and your child maiden and your crone energies, where towards the end of it she focuses on the various siddhis and various strengths and powers and treasures that comes from meditating, or basically what people might be choosing as the pinnacle of their spiritual journey, whatever that looks like for every single person. So the point is, when we seek the blessings or we explore the stories of Each Durga, we're also exploring how are we turning up in similar aspects of our stories. Now, you might be someone who's in your 20s, you might not have experienced motherhood, or maybe that's something you don't want to experience, or you might be you might be you might be not even a woman, right? Durga is not just for women, of course. Durga is the universal mother, and thereby all of us are privy, and all of us are welcome to soak in her energies and soak in her charm. So, on that note, um, why I said women was actually a lot of women ended up joining in my first program. And it's been interesting to note that pretty much anything I host tends to call in a lot of women. And I'm curious as to why that is. But I also hope that my brothers out there, or my fellow leaders who are masculine in their roles, in their gender, are very welcome to this. And so all of us have all these various roles, right? It could be that of fatherhood, it could be that of strategizing to go into war. And war very much looks like maybe even our day to day life, maybe even our workplace. So let your gender not deter you, but lend you even additional strength as you explore what it is like to surrender or to tap into these divine feminine qualities. And because of the gift of the season, from a very masculine lens or masculine energy of Aries season. I know that's a little bit confusing. I too find that quite enchanting in a way, actually, that we get to explore this from both angles. And I think enchanting was a light word. It is a little bit challenging for me as well. But that is what I'm excited to explore in this season of Date Nights with Durga. So if you're here with me so far, you're very welcome onto this journey. Send me a message and you'll hear from me on the other side. Thank you.